Okay, so decided to hop on to do a quick deep dive for you all because I know that tarot can be a lot, right? And even though we have the deep dive on Thursdays, or the satsang, as I like to call it, and the traditional class that we'll have tomorrow, I decided that I might just do these little impromptu things to help to build your tarot knowledge because y'all are busy at the same time. And everybody's not as obsessed with tarot as me. So I don't know what your out of class work looks like. So I thought that these little things could help you. All right. So one of the things that tarot can be used for is shadow work. And so I don't know. Don't you start. No, we're recording. We're in class. So I'm going to post something about shadow work. He loves my grimoire, but what he really loves is the string. It's like it drives him. I don't know. It's a mess. Yeah, he's back up here harassing me. No, he's right up here harassing me. Okay. So shadow work is good to do because we have a shadow. We all have a shadow, right? We all have a part. Your shadow is really being bad. So shadow work is really important. It's an important part of manifesting, I think, because sometimes our shadow, the part of us that we don't want people to see, the part of us that we want to hide, the part of us that we are ashamed about is our shadow. And our shadow can trip us up because it can be that subconscious tape that plays over and over in our mind and really sabotages our goals and our plans, etc. So tarot can be a really helpful way to help you figure out what's going on in the background that you don't see, what's going on in the resources of your mind, and how to address those things and move those things forward. So I have, which I don't know if you saw, I posted decks I'm using for shadow work because it's also wintertime. And I like to work with the seasons. And as we are still in winter, even though today it feels like spring, I saw a cardinal this morning. I have to look and see what cardinal medicine is giving. But yeah, I did a video last weekend on the decks that I'm using for shadow work. And again, because it's wintertime, because wintertime is a very internal time, a time to look within, semi-hibernate so that we can reemerge in spring new. And then we can blossom in the summer. That's it, enough. We can blossom in the summer, et cetera, et cetera. So I got a new deck yesterday because I don't have enough. But I've been wanting this Murder of Crows deck for a long time. And so what did I do in the box? And it might be one of the shadowiest shadow decks that I have so far. I don't know. I haven't really used the Deviant Moon enough to know, but just by the imagery of this, and I saw somebody on YouTube that said this wasn't a shadow deck for them. I'm like, I don't know how it's not, because the minute I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is gonna like, oh. So I did all the things that I recommended you all do. So I figured I would do that again just to show you what it looks like to cleanse a deck. Took my mom to the crystal store yesterday with me. Oh, so glad that cat is gone. Where is he? Probably, who knows? Okay. So, Palo Santo, that we talked about, right? And also sound. Oh, I don't even have to open it. This is better. This is what I actually attuned them with last night. So tuning forks are always good. You might want to invest in a tuning fork. They are good to clear energy. So just clearing the deck, you can't see, clearing the deck with the sound. And then last night, to attune it, I did something different because I recently started working more heavily with the 4 directions and the archangels of the 4 directions and the elements. So last night I turned to the east and I asked that this deck be blessed and consecrated, and I invoked the element of air, which is associated with the east, and Archangel Raphael. Then I went to the south. I invoked the energies and the protection of the south. I consecrated this deck to the energy of Archangel Michael, who protects the south. Then I went to the west, Archangel Gabriel, who, and the element of the west, the element of water, to consecrate this deck. Then I went to the north, Archangel Uriel, the element of earth, and I consecrated the deck to the element of earth and asked for the protection of Archangel Uriel. Then I went up to the sky, to the element of spirit or the ether, Father Sky, consecrated this deck to Father Sky and the element of the ether. Then I came to my crown and I asked that the messages be clear. I came to my third eye to ask that my intuition be on point. I went to the throat so that I speak the truth of the deck. I went to the heart so that I am in tune with my heart when I'm giving readings. Then I went to Mother Earth and asked for Mother Earth to bless the deck. So that's what I did last night. You see how fast that was, right? So, and that was that. Okay. So then this morning, I decided to ask for a shadow message. So that is what I did. So what I suggest you do is you have your, again, this is my grimoire, but you have whatever you have where you take your notes. And I ask, what's the shadow message for today? Pull, shuffle, shuffle, da, da, da. I got the Tower in reverse. So I know intuitively and with working with my guides, I immediately heard, oh, my shadow message for the day is that I am no longer in a tower situation. But it's the shadow because there's a part of me that hasn't reconciled that I'm no longer in a tower situation, right? And the tower situation could have been going through COVID, feeling displaced as I'm still living in between my mom's and my apartment, blah, 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 right? But technically, I'm no longer in a tower situation at all. But here's the benefit of, and I think that's what I wrote down. Yeah, you're not in destruction. I am divinely protected. I am transformed and I trust my intuition. That's what I wrote down. So that's the thing, right? You look at the card, you listen, and then you just write it down, right? Because that's what my guides were telling me. Like, I am no longer in a tower situation, but it's the shadow because there's a part of me that's still acting like I am. And so this is the benefit of having different decks, right? Because even though I knew what my intuition said and I wrote it down, I was curious about the key words for the tower. I probably should have did this before the video, so sorry. Okay, here we go. So in the reverse, it says resisting change, which was what my intuition said, averting disaster, avoiding tragedy, delaying the inevitable, avoiding loss. So there we go. So that was my confirmation, right? Like tragedy avoided, loss avoided, but for some reason, I've been holding on, right? Like I'm still in the shadow. So since I had that awareness, like, ooh, girl, you're still acting like it's 1995. I had a dream last night. And so I wrote down my dream. And basically what happened in my dream was like a way to address the shadow, right? So that came to me. And then I gave myself a couple of affirmations. And then I asked the shadow, what am I not seeing? And so what I got there was the Queen of Cups in reverse. And I immediately felt like, and this is not what the card means, but for me, what I felt immediately was not feeling, remember, because cups are emotions. Cups represent water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. I could talk a little bit about astrology. So if you know your birth chart, like, so for me, thinking about my Cancer placement, where Cancer is in my chart, I do tend to hold on to things. I also have what's called a stellium in the 8th house. The 8th house rules sex, death, rebirth, regeneration. So I have a lot of planets in that house, in the 8th house. So it makes me hold on to things, right? So what I'm not seeing is the cup that the ancestors gave me, right? So that's what I took from that. Like, yeah, girl, we're giving you all the things. Like, so then I went to my other deck, and one of the things that they said was, and I wrote the cup, the ancestor is giving. And then, but one of the things that the Queen of Cups in reverse, because she's a very nourishing queen, is unnecessarily sacrificing yourself for the good of others. Okay, that resonated. So I was like, all right, so I pondered that a little bit and how that's showing up, which is very present. And then I thought, why do I do that? So then I asked, why am I doing that? And I got the Two of Pentacles. So this is a card about going back and forth, right? And oh, I love the guidebook in this deck because what it said was you can't serve two masters. This deck has very beautiful language. It is difficult to serve two masters while the soul longs to dance. Your feet are planted in solid earth. So what does that mean in real time? So that means for me, yeah, my soul longs to dance. Like I'd love to just be like here and there and everywhere, right? But I also have real life responsibilities, right? Taking care of an aging parent and things like that, right? And so it's like, yeah, I want to do one thing, but then I also have these responsibilities, and I'm sure you all can relate to that, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, that resonates, that's clear. What do I do about it? So then I wrote, I think I literally wrote that. Oh, I wrote, yeah, what do I do about it? And I got the Knight of Cups, right? Which is great. Because this is a very carefree knight. Some people call him the false knight. So this is like, you know, the guy that calls and doesn't call, and the girl that calls and doesn't call, and all of that. So they're like, be more like this, be more lighthearted, be more like the Knight of Cups. Was this the one that said follow? No. It wasn't. Follow the passion. Let's see what it says. The soft, dry grasses crunch beneath the hooves as the mist parts to reveal this worthy traveler, an untamed soul ready to journey beyond the known place to find their destiny. This brave one's passion calls you. Let us leave all this. There are places only I can show you. The dark eyes beneath the mask remind you that the greater danger is found in not pursuing your dreams. So it's like, yeah, got to do what you got to do for self, got to follow your dreams, right? Leave the earthly things, leave those things behind and pursue your dreams. And we know it's leave your earthly things behind because we have the pentacles here, and pentacles represents the earth. So leave, and I have a Capricorn ascendant, right? So they say rising, right? And so what does that mean? That means that responsibility and things like that, you know, that is a part of Capricorn. It's like, and Libra sun too. It's like overgiving, doing things for other people, and blah, 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 right? So that is a thing. And so there's these two parts of the self, right? So you see how this works, and being double-minded in this way, that's the shadow, right? When really the answer, the way out, is to follow the emotions. So remember when we talked about last week coming out of the head and going into the heart? So for me, it's not really being in the head, it's being in a space of the earth, being like a little stubborn, a little rigid, because earth signs can be stubborn and rigid. Earth signs are Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So we already know what it's giving. We know what earth we know what earth signs are giving, right? And so, and there's also an element of sacrifice. We think about Martin Luther King, who was a Capricorn. There's an element of sacrifice with Capricorn. And so we have to be very, very careful, right? So that's why it's also good to know your placement along with the tarot, because you already know what your temperament is and what your propensity for, I'm going to be dramatic and say destruction, because we started with the Tower in reverse, right? So we already know what the propensities are, right? But do you see how the tarot like just illuminates things? No, little one, no, because it's saying very clearly, leave this place, follow your dreams, right? And then the other card, because two, no. And then the other card was the Page of Pentacles, right? Did I say that the Knight, and again, we'll talk about this when we talk about the court cards, right? The Knight, the Queen, the King, the Page, those are the court cards. So we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, but you're getting like a little precursor here. So the court cards typically will represent actual people. They can represent me, the person asking the question, people in my life, or actions that me, the person asking the question, needs to take. All right. So there you go with the court cards. So, and when we see the knight, it is signifying the end of a long-term situation. That might be the third time I said that. Sorry. And then we have the page. So pages are more naive energy. They're learning things, right? They are curious. So here we have the Page of Pentacles. And so what this talks about is being patient with myself, but also, and I'll read it, getting rid of things that no longer serve me. I never, and that's the thing about having lots of different decks, I have actually never heard the Page of Pentacles being described in that way. So that's why it's nice, again, to have lots of different decks and to, get these different interpretations, because each deck has its own interpretation of what it means, right? So this traditional Rider-Waite, you're going to get more of sort of the agreed upon keywords, but this again is very different. So let's see what, oh, here it is right here. Perfect. And then we had the Knight of Cups, right? Yeah, we have the Knight of Cups. Yes. The Knight of Cups. Oh. So many decks. Oh my God. It's like outrageous. There's the Knight of Wands. Here's the Knight of Pentacles. Need the Knight of Cups. All right. Here we go. Okay. So we got the Knight of Cups first. And again, you can see the difference, right? When my camera gets on blurry. There we go. So it's really interesting. That this deck is associated with creative expression. I mean, this card in this deck is creative expression. It's also interesting to me that the moon is here, because the moon typically represents things that are unseen. But this crescent moon, we would actually do magic on the crescent moon around creative expression and manifestation. So that's really interesting. And then we have Scorpio here. And that is, again, that regeneration. Yeah. So that's interesting. Okay. Let me get back into, so it says here, romantic proposals, offers, invitations, following your heart. So it does say following your heart. So that is a young person full of new ideas and proposals. That doesn't really resonate, but that following the heart definitely does. So there you go. And then for the Page of Cups, right? I mean, the Page of Pentacles, right? So it's good. So it says new job, right? Good news in earthly matters, solid beginnings, setting goals, opportunity to increase income, books, negotiations, one who is willing to learn, someone you can count on. Again, because it's earth, it's steady, it's stable. It's very different from what I'm going to read in this deck. Again, that's why it's good to use your intuition. In this deck, and I've already begun outlining because I really appreciate this deck. It says, listen to the clatter and clink as they work, separating the useful gear from the garbage. So for me, that's getting rid of what no longer serves, right? A wise and cautious soul, deeply interested in learning the intricacies of how the world works, because the page is always going to be about learning and curiosity. Their love is found in creation, and organization. And again, because the earth is always going to be about building things that last, investing in things that are going to last. When they find the courage, even in innovation, pieces are fit together in new ways, and a little bit at a time, novel designs are born and recorded. Theirs is a delicate and exacting art requiring time, patience, and concentration. So the keywords here are meticulousness, attention to detail, and a dedicated worker, which is what I wrote down. And so again, how do I address going back and forth? I wrote down Page of Pentacles, pay attention to how things work, pay attention to details, be curious, remove what is not serving me. And then I wrote down some things that weren't serving me. So that's how you do shadow work, right? So that's how you do shadow work with the tarot. That's what it looks like, right? And so now I know, because I wrote down removing what is not serving me, and I wrote down the things that I do to stop myself from removing things that aren't serving me. So now I have an action plan, right? Now I can actually move on removing things that are not serving me and removing mindsets that are not serving me. Right. And that, again, that is really how you do shadow work. I hope that that was helpful. And then what I got afterwards as the sort of result of all of those things is me showing up in my own reading. This is the Justice card. This is the 11th card. My birthday is on the 11th and I am a Libra. And so this is me showing up in my own reading. Not looking like that, but so that's me holding the sword of truth, keeping things in balance, doing the things that need to be done. Right. And one of the things that needs to be done, because again, this is the Justice. And for me, the Justice comes, remember, we got this 8 of Cups in our deep dive on Thursday, moving away from things that no longer serve. And here we have the full moon. And full moons represent culmination, right? And so that's where we are. And then sometimes I just look and see what catches my eye in a reading. If you've heard my readings before, so it's like, oh, and this is what's at the top of the deck. So we'll read it. So what culminates from me getting things in balance, acting from the sword of truth, not what I want to be true, but what's actually true, the things I actually found about myself from this shadow work, what's actually true will allow me to balance things that need to be balanced, walking away from feelings that no longer serve me, culminating and then we have the world. The world is mine once I do that. Okay. So, and it said the world, success, achievement, accomplishment, travel. All good things come from me doing this work. Now, what could be interesting, what I could do if I chose is, because full moons are about culmination, I could create a ritual. Oh, shoot, and the full moon is here too. I could create a ritual for myself if I chose to remove some of these things that no longer serve. And I could set a date, like since Libra's here, by the full moon in Libra. I could set a goal, I could set an intention that by the full moon in Libra, I will have addressed these things and I will be on to the next thing. I will, right? So I could really, and I might, create a ritual for myself to really address closing this chapter once and for all by the full moon in Libra. I might do that. I probably will, right? So that's what I have. This is my other shadow deck, right? So you can see, yeah, I'm like really into this shadow work right now. So yeah, I hope that you really seeing how I break things down. I hope that it makes things a little bit more exciting in your mind and inspiring. And I'm going to go because I don't know how long I've been on here. Not long, I don't think. But anyway, I'm going to go. Enjoy the video. Enjoy your day. Bye.